Hello guys and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me Vulcan. Today I'm playing a 3v3 on Trondheim and I'm playing on the PACT side. I decided in this particular game that I would be using my Russian armoured deck. This is possibly one of the best decks I have for the PACT. It's extremely strong. It's basically a Russian deck, armoured and no bonus to error. So it's a standard deck. And it's pretty easy to make, in all honesty. You just add all of the decent tanks, all of the decent AA, basically everything overpowered, and you can create a nice all-rounded deck, which really works out very well. So, I'm playing with I Am Become Death and Look Luca today. And on the enemy team we have Vulgar Phil, Gen Custard and Panzer Schlumpf. As you can see by the beacons, I'm going to be taking the left side at Alpha. I'm going to be capturing that with a BRM-1K and then supporting it with some infantry in the form of Conkers, 4 of those, and 2 Iglas as well that I've just dropped in there. Then you can see that I've also got access to 2 K22 Tunguskas and 2 K22M Tunguskas. If we go to my point of view, I can also point out that I have a T80U at the start and 2 T62 MV1s, and we're further accompanied by a Book M1, possibly the best anti-air in the game, except from the fact that it can get killed by anti-radar missiles quite easily. Then I've got a UAZ 469 for recon and a BRM-1. Then I've got the MI2, which is my helicopter recon. And that's the majority of my forces right there. I managed to actually put down a lot of my troops early on because I already knew when I saw it was this map that I wanted to take the left side. And the reason for that is because if some of you have watched my other videos, you will know that I have played a similar place on this map before in a 3v3 with a British deck. Now the side switch, so if you're wondering why I'm playing PACT on this side now, that's why. And it's all about luck, so I didn't plan to be playing this side, but as soon as I saw I could be here, I was like, oh, I want to play on this side. I'm very comfortable with doing so. So that's why I did it. Look, Luca decided to take center anyway before I even chose to go on the left, and I Am Become Death filled in on the right with Fedor and Dmitry. So my team did very well this game, and you'll see that although I hold my own, my team also does very well throughout the match. It's very nice to not have to play a game where you are solely reliant on yourself and that you can actually rely on your other players to do well. I played with I Am Become Death a couple of games before this, and I saw that he played pretty well, so I was very happy with playing him furthermore. Now, if you ever want to play with me, feel free to send me a message whenever I'm online. Sometimes I will obviously be recording like I am now, but another way to get hold of me is on Steam. And a lot of people ask me what is my Steam and whether they can add me or not, and it's perfectly fine to add me on Steam. The best way to do it is to go and search VulcanHDGaming. That will take you to my Steam group. I'm the only moderator of the group, so you can find me that way. So, here we go. We've got my troops moving up towards the town at Alpha. UAZ 469 well up ahead, which is probably just as well. Nice old recon vehicle heading up there. I was a bit scared that I would have some sort of helicopter force come in and try and take Anna at the start of the game, although that would have overextended them quite a lot because capturing center allows us to bring in reinforcements through this tunnel. Now the reason I brought in 3 Afghanskis at this point is to deal with this Kiowa. Now a Kiowa, or this particular type of Kiowa, has 4 Hellfire missiles. Very, very powerful. Now 3 Afghanskis are worth 60 points. These will waste the Hellfire missiles of the Kiowa. He's going to get 40 points for that, but it will allow me to safely move up my T80U and my Tunguskas and the Books without having to worry about it too much. Now each particular vehicle takes 2 Hellfire missiles because of how quickly they fire. So you can see, even though one already hit, fired the second one. Now this gives a chance for my Afghanski on the right to to get into range and actually deal damage. But as soon as I tell my Afghansky to physically attack this thing, it reverses, and the reason for that was because the pathing was making it think that it needed to drive all the way round in order to catch up with the Kiowa that was going to fly away. Unfortunately, I probably could have just got away with right-clicking here and it would have caught up to it on its own. But there we go. Jaguar comes in anyway to try and bomb my Afghansky, unfortunately misses and nearly gets itself shot down, but does get away. This Jaguars are very, very quick. I think they fly at 1,000 kilometers per hour, so pretty hard to take down. But in the meantime, I'm moving my Iglas and Conkers into positions, putting Conkers into this area. I'm going to put one into the left with these two squads, and my Iglas holding the right. So, set up my Tunguskas and my books. I've got my BRM-1 here, an exceptional recon ground unit which is very, very useful. I've got the T-80U on the left side with the T-62s now split into two separate. I bring in another T-80U onto the field and followed by a BMPT. The reason I bring in the BMPT is to deal with these Leopard 1A4s. Now the BMPT isn't the best vehicle to deal with these kinds of tanks at longer ranges, but because you can see there's the cliffs here that basically make all of the engagements along here close range. So look, Luca has the same idea and brings in two of his own. But let's just go over the stats of the BMPT. They have a 100mm cannon to work with, which has an accuracy of 9, HE power of 3, so it can only target infantry. Then you've got a 30mm autocannon, which is what you use to take care of the Leopard 1A4s, and the reason that's so good is because it's an autocannon with 2 AP power. Then you've also got the grenade launcher, which provides suppression for an advance. So basically the way that the BMPTs work is that as they're driving up, they can suppress the enemy tanks with their 30mm grenade launcher, and then when they get close enough, what they can do is use their autocannon to kill the unit. Now on the left, you're probably wondering what's going on here. I'm sending forwards Urals to test their defences. I wanted to check if these Leopard 1A4s could shoot down this direction, which they could. And I've also spotted that I've got a tank here with an autocannon on it, which is likely to be a KPZ. And then I've got a couple of HGMs to deal with in that tree line. Now while that's all going on, my T-80U from this hedge line here manages to snipe two strikers on top of this hill, and look, Luca has decided to charge these two Leopard 1A4s that are left with his BMPTs. I'm not going to leave my teammate on his own, so I decide to move forwards mine as well. You can see what happens as the grenade launchers continue to come in. We eventually completely stun the units with the help of this T-64B. And then at very close range, the BMPT just annihilates both of them at that close range. Now Jaguar does come in and manage to get a nice cluster bomb strike on our BMPTs, so I decided to pretty much run away with this vehicle before it gets hit again. But look, Luca decides to press it towards this hill instead, which I thought was a bit of a weird move. He could have brought it back and repaired it and it would have been fine. Especially considering soon after I spot these Seahawks. Now these Seahawks, as you can see on the left side of the helicopter, have Hellfire missiles. Again, not very good against my tanks, and especially not good against the BMPT, which doesn't have that great armor. Now the 15 front armor is actually superb, but against the Seahawk with Hellfire missiles, it's not going to do much. So look, Luca engages his BMPT with a Puma. It's a bit too late for him to get that out of there now though, as the Seahawk fires its Hellfire missile and pops that in one nice shot. So seeing that the BMPTs are dead here, decides to push forwards with the Seahawks mistakenly, and it gets shot. Both of them get shot down by one shot from my Book M1. Seeing that's out of supply, I bring in a couple of Urals to resupply my Tunguskas and so on where needed. So now I decide to push forwards my T62 MVs on the left. And the idea of this was that I would bring in 3 UAZ 469s. I would basically move them forward one by one and try and get them into positions that would allow me to see exactly what was going on in these trees. Now, it's very hard to push past these trees on this left side. You can get up to, like, I would say this line here where these Urals are dead, but you still can't see anything in these forests, and that can be quite a problem. So anyway, Volga-Phil's Kiowa engages my T-80U, and with the last Hellfire missile, which goes astray, manages to one-shot kill one of my T-62 MVs. You can see I quickly retreat the other one just in case, but it was too late. The damage had been done. That was 80 points right there with one Hellfire missile that just basically locked onto that because my T-80U backed off, which kind of sucked. Seeing that happen though, I knew that I needed to move up my Tunguska. This Tunguska has a Saklos missile that has 4 HE power, and the idea was that this thing can shoot down a Kiowa in one shot because Kiowas only have 4 health. I try and sneak forwards this UAZ 469 on the right. Unfortunately that gets popped by a weasel. Managed to move forwards this one in the middle to a safe bush, and now it's the turn of the one on the left to try and find a nice hedgerow to sit in. At this point, the game's actually pretty close. We got 976 points on the enemy team, so they're actually winning, and now 875 points on our team after my Tunguska. My 2K22 Tunguska one-shot the Kiowa just like I had planned. Also, this SU-24, if you missed it, just came in and sniped a Marder Roland 2 just there, and also has a shot at taking out a Flak Panzer Gepard. The idea of that was that if I needed to advance on this side, that I would be able to bring in the Su-24 bombers and bomb these where needed. So unfortunately, look, Luca loses a couple of BMPTs to the Kiowa and a KPZ, but I move forwards to Tunguska and manage to snipe his second Kiowa, which is extremely expensive for him. But the enemy brings in a Prowler, and these have anti-radar missiles. Yeah, it's all very well, but I've turned off my Tunguska's radar. And unfortunately, due to a book outranging its own missiles, I shoot that down just fine. So, if you didn't know, you can turn off the Tunguska's radar so that they can't be targeted by anti-radar missiles. All you have to do is, when you bring them in, is just left-click the radar 30mm cannons at the bottom. The normal missiles that they fire are actually infrared, so they don't count towards radar, and therefore the anti-radar missiles can't target them. It's actually quite a clever trick, and I learned it a while back off another player. So now what's happening is I'm bringing in more T-80Us. If there's ever a problem in this game, it's always solved by T-80Us. I now have 4 of them on the field. That's my limit as well. So I've got one here, got one here, and one just here. I'm also bringing in an Mi-28, and the reason I'm doing that is to kill off these Leopard 2A4s. Unfortunately, I only have to kill one of them because look, Luca's T-64B does manage to get a nice close range shot off onto one of them and blows it up. However, the second one doesn't bode so well. T-64B gets its firing computer reset and the weapons jammed by the Leopard 2A4 firing back. But fortunately for me, the Mi-28's on the scene, firing lovely SAC-LOS missiles and eventually blowing it up. And that's 145 points for me. So what I really liked about Luca's play is that he used these 82mm mortars throughout the game to provide extremely accurate fire support to places he needed it. Now as I say that, he fires an uncorrected barrage into these forests, which is actually not too bad considering what would be in those forests is technically infantry, so not too much of an issue there, but he also moves them after every barrage. And you'll see just what happens. The enemy counter artillery from this location, and he's already moved his arty, and they completely miss, and instead just hit the T-80Bs that Luca has there. Now that pretty much does no damage to them because artillery against heavy tanks, well, doesn't do too much. So with my recon moving up on the left, it was time to move forwards my T-80Us. I've got the T-80Us in front and my BRM-1 behind. BRM-1 will spot stuff, the T-80Us stop and kill it. That's basically how it works. I've also got a couple of Tunguskas coming up the back just in case I spot any Seahawks or Kiowas or anything that I don't necessarily want to bump into. Now these T-80Us don't have the best gun accuracy. They only have an accuracy of 8 on their guns, which, you know, can be a bit of an issue when you get to max range encounters with HGMs especially. But using their HGMs with 10 accuracy, they can pop these KPZs from max range, which is very nice. Now the real reason I started to push like this, which is quite suicidal in all honesty considering I didn't know what was going on, was because I'm very impatient in Wargame, and I've said this a lot before, and it managed to get one of my T-80Us caught out. This KPZ, which was very nicely placed in this forest, shot a side round into one of my T-80Us. It instantly forced me to retreat all of my T-80Us because I'm currently being hit in the front by heavy HGMs which are occupying these buildings here. I can't fire on that without artillery support because my T-80Us will never get in range before they're dead. And also with the KPZ in the side shooting me from there, it's also going to hurt. Now fortunately, I do manage to shoot down one of the Jaguars that come in to try and kill me. And we managed to get the second one as well. But they did kill the Tunguska that got left stranded in the forest on the side here. I was hoping that they didn't spot that. Basically what happened was where my T-80Us suddenly retreated, my 2K22M Tunguska got stranded and I had to hide him in the forest there hoping that nobody would notice. Yeah, that didn't really end very well. So seeing that I needed more firepower, it was only solved by more T-80s in this time in the form of T-80BVs. These have very nice armor, 17 front armor, which is 3 less than the T-80Us, but the second highest I had on my deck. So I decided to bring those in, and they are nice to deal with the KPZs at closer ranges. But they also have the wonderful Cobra HGM that is extremely good at taking out units at long range. And that has an accuracy of 8 and an AP power of 20. Not the most powerful HGM, but still very good. So now Luca's currently harassing the Leopard 2A4s on Volga Film. Seeing that this is occurring, I'm thinking about using my Mi-28 to help out this T-64 push. Also in the meantime I brought in an Su-24 which managed to pick off another Marder Roland 2 on this side. I fly it off to the left so that anything further to the right won't hit it, and then after that's taken out I bring in an Su-24 MP in order to bomb this forest. Now I don't kill the KPZ, but I know it's going to be extremely damaged, and the second anti-radar shot from my SU-24 managed to kill another Marder Roland 2 further on the right. So at this point my Mi-28 has finally moved up, got into the same height as the Leopard 2A4, but I don't manage to kill it before it retreats into the forest. So, with me failing to kill the Leopard 2A4, I retreat the Mi-28 because of the anti-air in this building just here. But we are now winning by about 900 points. Currently 2,186 for the enemy and 3,030 for myself. At this point, what I said was, let's go. So, told Luca to push up into Eleanor if he could, and I'm going to suicide charge up to Gregory. And the funny reason behind this push is because I needed to go for dinner. So, it was pretty much a rush now, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 T-80s. This is extremely scary for anyone facing it. Also, with the support of Tunguskas, anything that's trying to kill it is going to get shot down pretty easily. Now I've already lost 1 T-80, but I've got 4 left, and I'm coming across infantry in this forest, which isn't ideal, but luckily having so many tanks in the same location it makes it easy to deal with enemy forces. So now my T-80U on the left is in trouble. It's got constant HGMs hitting it. I do micromanage that back as soon as I spot that happening. Unfortunately, it's a bit too late and it does get blown up. But what happened really was that while the T-80U was fighting the infantry on the right side, it turned its face towards the infantry and therefore got hit in the side armour. Wasn't ideal and unfortunately left me very vulnerable. But this push has done a lot of damage. I took out an 85-point KPZ here. I hide my T-80U that's heavily damaged in this forest, and with a shot taking out this Marder Roland 2 and anti-air taking out those Dorniers that were idle, we win the game. So it was an exactly 20 minutes long this game. We went to 4,000 points, us winning. I Am Become Death getting 1,560 kills to 790 losses. I got a little better with 1,805 kills to 781 losses. And Luca, although it may have seemed like he didn't get that many kills, was a major part in this victory, and he got 660 kills, unfortunately 935 losses. But with his mortar support stunning those Leopard 2A4s, it made so many opportunities for me to push up onto the left, knowing that I wouldn't be flanked from the right side. And that was really what Luca did well in this game, although it didn't come across in the kill deaths. Now, enemies did reasonably well as well, but unfortunately, this time they did not prevail. So a very good game there. I really enjoyed playing it, and although I was a bit rushed at the end, it still turned out to be alright. I probably could have been a bit more careful with my T-80U approach at the end, but it worked out. I think the victory was worth the losses. So there we go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I'm trying to get back into Wargame more. I know I say that all the time, but it's really hard for me, especially with my uni work, to get a lot of these videos out because I spend a lot of time analysing the replay before I actually do the commentary. So please bear that in mind. And I hope you enjoy the Rome content as well, which will be continuing to come out. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.